Alright, so I'm here at the lake house, and today I am going to rank all 8 of the Star Wars seasons because the Acolyte came out and finished about a month ago, I'd say. So, yeah, here is my ranking. Alright, so before we get started, let's just be completely clear. I am not a Star Wars fan at all. I do not like Star Wars. I like 2 of the movies. One of them is very controversial. And most of these shows, this is going to be a hard ranking because most of these shows, they're beloved by a lot of people, and I don't like. So there's going to be some unpopular opinions here in this video. If you're down with that, if you want to tell me down below what is your ranking of these Star Wars shows. Also, while you're down there, subscribe, like button, and hit the bell so you don't miss another video. And with that said, let's get started with number 8. And I told you this is going to be an unpopular opinion ranking because number 8 is seemingly everyone's number 1, which is Andor. And hold on. Okay, before you go, Zachary Movie Chat's an idiot. He doesn't like Andor because it's Star Wars for adults, blah, 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 blah. Let me explain. I watched it when it first came out. Could not finish it. I had 2 episodes left, and it was kind of a drag to get through. I could do progress on so many other TV shows instead of this one. And when I was watching this one, I was just bored throughout the majority of it. And I know, could just be Star Wars for adults. Maybe back when I was 16, I didn't get that. Maybe if I rewatch it now, I'd like that. But back when it first came out, I watched it, and there are random episodes, like episode 3, episode 6, that are really good. They're really good episodes. But the rest of the episodes just feel like the same thing. Like, we got this one rebellion people going over, talking to each other, talking about how they're going to do the rebellion. We got Andor figuring out what he's doing. And it just felt so repetitive, the entire show, to where by the end of it, I was just like, nah, I'm not going to finish this. And I made progress on other shows rather than dreading to watch this one. And so it hurts that it has to be in last place because I was genuinely excited for this show. And maybe if I gave it a rewatch, maybe if I tried again, I would finally get it. I just didn't get it when it first came out. Number 7, another unpopular opinion, we're going with The Mandalorian Season 1. And this kind of suffers from the same thing as Andor, is that it's boring. It's a boring season because it's just the Mandalorian goes to this place, and he goes to this place, and he goes to this place, and he does this random mission, and a random mission, and a random mission, and we don't really get much story into the final 2 episodes. And so while we're just doing random missions, they're all just kind of the same. Mandalorian goes somewhere, he helps some people out, end of the day, he wins. And it's just kind of boring and just didn't interest me. And by the time we get to the final 2 episodes where we actually get a story, and a story that actually could be cool, I was just so out of the show. I was just so uninvested from this season that I just couldn't get into. So, very disappointing season. When it first came out, my family watched it every time it came out, and we actually really liked it. But on rewatch, when I rewatched it for season 3, I just didn't like it. Just didn't get it. And speaking of season 3, number 6, we're going with The Mandalorian Season 3, the hardest Star Wars season to mess up, and yet somehow Disney just did it. They messed it up. Because how do you mess up a premise that's this cool? The Mandalorians go to Mandalore, try to take it back from the evil people. That's cool. That's awesome. And somehow they messed it up. Now, when the show's on, it's on. The final episode, I think, is one of the best finales in Star Wars TV. And I thought it was awesome. There's some cool action sequences here. There's some solid moments. But, like, every cool idea, it feels like they completely just blew up. Jack Black in an episode? Okay, let's make him the goofiest person. We got the whole conflict with the Darksaber and who's going to take it. Yeah, how could we mess that up? By finding a plot hole instead of getting the actual fight that we want. It's like everything cool that we were looking forward to in the season. They're just like, how can we disappoint our loyal Star Wars fans? That's how. By completely ruining it. And so while there are cool moments in here, it just started to feel repetitive for the majority of it until like the final episode or the final 2 episodes. And I just was like, I could not believe that this is what they decided to do for a Mandalorian Season 3. And then soon after that, in 5th spot, and it's weird to have this in my top 5, considering how much, I ranted in my review, and this is going to be The Acolyte. This is a season that I was actually pretty excited to check out, because I liked the trailer quite a bit, and I thought that, and the first poster that they put out was awesome. But it just ended up disappointing me on almost every level with the script writing and what they decided to do. There are cool stuff in here. The action sequences are pretty great. I really like the villain. The technology that he has is awesome. Never seen in Star Wars where a guy can just take his helmet and blast out a lightsaber like that. I love technology. It's cool. I really like that. And there were some great action sequences. Episode 5 is the best episode in Star Wars television. Kelnaka, that fight scene when we finally get it, is pretty dope. The finale is pretty decent. I like the finale. But, I mean, for all this stuff that is some of the best of Star Wars television, man, the script is god-awful. It's terrible. And I just couldn't get it. To where the whole premise is a murder mystery trying to stop all these murders. Who's the mystery? Who's the killer? The only guy it can be. It doesn't set up a decent mystery, and it just kind of hurts the show. And all the cool ideas, like a Jedi turning into a Sith because because of what she's learning, and the lightsaber glowing red, that's cool. But the way we get there was difficult, because where we could have time to set in on what Soul actually did, every time it's about to announce what he did at the end of episode, every time it's about to say, oh, no, he actually did this, it just does a fake out like, oh, should I tell her? Should I tell her? Should I tell her? That's what it's like through the whole episode. And then all of a sudden, you know what? I should tell her. Episode ends. Next episode, going to tell her. Something happens. Ooh, now I got to find the courage to tell her. Now I got to find the courage to tell her. Goes to tell her. Episode ends. That happens for 2 episodes in a row because they cannot figure out how to pace the season. They cannot figure out that they listen to the complaints that people had with only 6 episodes Star Wars season. So they added 2 more episodes where nothing happens. We have a whole episode where people are walking through the woods and talking about stuff that no one cares about. It's just frustrating. All the flashback sequences with the little girls are genuinely painful to watch. I could not watch them. They hurt my brain to watch. And so it's frustrating because all this stuff that is awesome about the season, that could have been the best Star Wars season, it doesn't work. Because the script and all the ideas that they decide to do not work. Coming in 4th place, Obi-Wan Kenobi. And to be clear, there's not like a huge jump up. I do think this is a solid season, though. It's not god-awful like a lot of the others, or just genuinely bad like The Acolyte was. But it's not a great season because it's Star Wars television. Of course, they wouldn't do something really, really cool that we'd all really love. There's some cool things in here. The finale with the Darth Vader fight is pretty cool. There's some cool action sequences here. You love to see Ewan McGregor back on the screen. I like the general story about Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan helping Princess Leia. I really like that. But the show's more meh than anything. There's plot lines that don't fully frustrate me, but they just aren't as strong. Everything cool that it could be, it doesn't decide to be as cool as it should be. And so watching it, I was thinking, this isn't bad, but it's not good. It's just meh. It's just a watchable show. Part of that's disappointing because it's Obi-Wan Kenobi. But when you get so many bad Star Wars shows, when you get a meh show that's perfectly watchable, you'll never watch it again. It doesn't piss you off watching it, then it's fine. Then it's a decent show, and that's what it is. It doesn't do anything special. I think the most frustrating thing about this is like the 2 scenes with Princess Leia where these grown people are just like walking like this, and then they're running into trees on purpose just so Princess Leia can get away. That was frustrating. And then like when they put Princess Leia under the coat like it's a cartoon, that's just frustrating stuff like that. But the show's watchable. It's not bad, but it's not good either. Kicking off our top 3, The Book of Boba Fett. And I know, again, people are going to be losing their minds because of this ranking, putting The Book of Boba Fett in the 3 spot. But I think it was different enough that I genuinely enjoyed the season. I thought it was a solid season of television because I do enjoy some of the stuff that they do here. When we're back in time to the what actually happened to Boba Fett, it's not like super interesting, but it's good enough. The whole season is basically The Mandalorian, but it's contained in one area. And so I think that when it's contained in one area, that's what makes the story work, because it's an interesting story about Boba Fett being king of Tatooine, and I think it's pretty cool. I think the villain in the finale is pretty cool, and even when we just leave that and go do a couple episodes of The Mandalorian, I think there's solid episodes of The Mandalorian. No, I don't think it was a good idea to instantly bring Grogu back, but I didn't think it was solid. So it's more watchable than a lot of the other ones for me. I'd go back and rewatch this one because it's more different. That's what makes me like The Last Jedi so much, because it's different than everything else. And so it's so different that I had a good enough time with it. Is it perfect? No, but it's better than all the other ones that I've talked about so far. In second place, and we got Ahsoka. Now, this one, when it first came out, I said that it was my favorite one, and I think it probably does the stuff that I love the most, while also having a frustrating ending. I'm not too keen on the ending here. The lightsaber action is great. It's been a while since I've seen a Star Wars show where people just pull out lightsabers and are fighting. That was cool to me, because we haven't seen a show that was like that, where it's rare to see the lightsabers, and to have a full show where we get that almost every episode was awesome. I find the premise was unique, and it makes way for some actually really cool stuff to happen, really wild stuff to happen, like riding these giant space whales. It's so unique to where people could say, yeah, this is terrible, or they could be like me, be like, yeah, this is actually pretty awesome. And I did enjoy that. I like the world-ending threat that we're kind of getting with the Emperor, whatever his name is. I can't be bothered to remember right now, but I like that whole world-ending threat that we got here. It sets a vibe for the series, and there's some cool action here, so I do enjoy this series. I probably enjoy this more than my actual number one. I think I'd go back and rewatch this one before that, because I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was pretty good. And then we get those final 2 episodes, and they're just really frustrating to me, where we get to the planet, they find Ezra, and they have the cool fight scenes, but the way that the show ends is, hey, yeah, I know that you just let the Emperor guy get out of the planet, and he's going to go destroy the world now, but you got what you want, and that's all that matters. Yeah, we're good. We're just going to relax here while the whole world, the whole universe is going to get destroyed. And that was kind of frustrating me, like, we're actually, that's what we're doing? We're doing that? Okay, and it just didn't fully work for me, but I would go back and revisit this one more than I would any other. But my true number one, my favorite Star Wars show, is The Mandalorian Season 2, and some episodes it does suffer from what Season 1 did, where we just go into this random place, and it's kind of boring, but this one had an overall story. Return of the Empire, the return of Moff Gideon, which I think was pretty cool, some cool story elements that work to where we get all the random adventures, but it always leads back to the main story, and it fixed some of the things that Season 1 that I had my issues with. There are some cool episodes here, some cool action sequences with The Mandalorian. I felt like all that worked, but I think the icing on the cake, and the thing that leaves this one with the best taste in my mouth after watching it, is that this is one of the best finales in Star Wars television, where we, not only when I first came out, I did not get it spoiled. I watched it with my family, and we were freaking out when Luke freaking Skywalker showed up. But that's just a cool cameo. The overall story here about letting Grogu go and what that does, it's genuinely emotional. It genuinely works. And I feel like you should not have brought back Grogu, because that was a great ending to Season 2. And then you get Season 3 where he's back, and now we're getting a movie with him. So it had a great ending. It had a nice story overall. And while I might have enjoyed Ahsoka watching the whole series more, this one just leaves the best taste in my mouth because of what it's able to do in that final episode. And I think it's cool. So that was my ranking. No, I don't think a single one of these shows are top tier television. I think the best one is in the B tier, which is crazy to me, but that was my ranking of the Star Wars television shows. Let me know down below, what is your ranking of Star Wars television shows. We're going to have the July movies ranked coming up. Go check out my second channel because it's almost football season, which means I'm going to do a predictions video over on there. I got logged out last year, so I had to upload some of those on this main channel, which was really weird. But this year we're going to stick mainly to more ZMC, and then also I'm going to have like the July haul and all that coming up very soon. But thank you guys for clicking on this video, and with that said, subscribe to join the Nerd Army. Peace out.